one who fears does not mean perfectly loved.
So you will not be perfected in fear. Right, in fear. You will be perfected in love. Right, love. His love is what allowed us to be transformed. Fear only lets you perform. Transformed, fear lets you perform. Only lets you perform. And we all know we only perform for so long. We all know we can do a religious task for so long out of fear. And then it's just performance. And then run out. The one thing that I knew 10 years ago, when God touched my heart, I didn't realize until years later, after Jenny and I were married and talking about things, one of the reasons I believed that I was never to fully give myself to God is because I was afraid that it just wasn't real. That love wasn't real. When He touched my heart 10 years ago, I knew that I would never lose God's love, ever. Regardless. Most of us live in the mindset that God's love is conditional. It's the performance trap. When you think like that. When you think that God is a conditional only God, you get into performance. You guys, any of you girls, I think it's the girls. Remember going and finding a flower and he loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. He loves me not. It's cute, right? It really was. But I believe that in our relationship with God, I got a new job. He loves me. I had a fight with my wife. He loves me not. The thing I prayed for actually went the way I thought it would. He loves me. I lost my job. He loves me not. I got inspired by something I read in the Bible this morning. He loves me. He loves me. He's sick. He loves me not. I was able to give somebody some money, and it really helped him out. He loves me. Boy, he loves me. A transmission went out of my car. He loves me not. I submit to you, that is how many of us view God. Is when things are going well, He loves me. When I show up to church, He loves me. Woo! In this church today, He loves me not. Performance trap. It's easy to sing that song, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Easier to believe that in good times than in bad, isn't it? It really is. In hard times, we're less certain of that love. Learning to trust Him is not something that happens in an instant. Growing in trust means growing in the knowledge of His love for you. And that's why I said tonight, this is a process in which you start growing more in His love. Because He's a Father like no other. He's a Father like no other. We're going to look at the biblical example of this Father, of an extravagant, that's the word, extravagant, an unanticipated love of Father. Extravagant, we're going to look at an example of an extravagant and unanticipated love of the Father. Luke 15 is the worn out parable, pretty much. Parable of the lost son. Many times, many of your brains are probably going on autopilot right now. I know this one. It's like if I said the 23rd Psalm right now, you would be like, hey, know that one. So I'm going to pray. Father, I just ask that the words in this story would penetrate deep into our heart, and that we would get a new glimpse of you tonight, Father. That we would get a new picture of you tonight as an extravagant Father, as a gracious Father. I pray that that word would cut into us, your word, and that it would be evident in our hearts tonight. So be it. Prodigal means exceedingly wasteful, extremely abundant. And when we associate those words with the sons in the story, that's what normally happens. But tonight, I'm telling you, we're going to look at the Father as exceedingly wasteful and extremely abundant. He's the one who loves in His love for His sons. So you know the story, but I'll kind of give you a highlight. The rebellious son comes to the wealthy father, leader of the village, well-versed in cultural experiences in the Jewish culture of the day. So wasn't the sons. It was not an option that you did not know, it was not an option that you were not familiar with the cultures of Jewish customs in the day. Because you were, it was your life, and you knew how it was to be in the culture. You knew the Torah. You had to learn these things by a certain age. So everything in the story that the prodigal son, the rebellious son, did, he knew what he was stepping up against. It wasn't like, I'm just going to go and win. So he walks up to the father and he says, I want my inheritance now. And in essence, what he told his father at that point, I want you dead. I'm done. I want my money. In saying that, I want you dead. This is a huge no-no in that culture. And the response from the father in the culture would have been a harsh no, a slap across the face, and banishment from the family. I am done with you. You have crossed the line with whatever I could ever provide you. Smacked him and sent him out. But what the father can't do is he cannot ignore what the son asked him. He has to respond. It's not like I talked about with that World War II generation. Like, I didn't do that. I don't have to deal with that. What he said has brought shame instantly, and it has to be responded to. And the way the father had to respond was the law. It's not like the father, this is something I know I'm supposed to do. It was the law to banish his son. Until reconciliation could even happen, and the reconciliation happened through the older son. Okay? But when this all happened and occurred, the older son was strangely silent. The older son did not step into that point. No, wait a minute. Dad. He's talking crazy. He's had too much wine. He did not mean to say, I want you dead. He did not mean to ask for the older son who was supposed to bring some sort of reconciliation, didn't he? He sat quiet. Because he had much to gain by remaining quiet. He would get 2/3 of the estate immediately. Because of his rebellious brother is gone. I get more money. I work hard for my dad. I stay on the farm. I would never say anything like that, ever. But I get more money now. The younger would get 1/3. Can you imagine the reaction of the rebellious son when the father said, I'll divide? Now, mind you, I already told you that the son knew what should happen. He did not think his dad would answer the fact. But the father said, I'll do it. I'll divide it. And he gives the money to the son. And we know that the son takes and squanders the money in loose living, whatever he did. And the son knew that taking that inheritance and spending it and losing it was even another cultural no-no. So he brought shame to the family by asking the father to divide the estate. Brought shame to the family and the community, guys, and the community that this father was in. Brought shame to the community by dividing the estate and spending the money and losing his inheritance to the Gentiles.